Good morning everyone. Welcome back to the series of MPSC 2022 question paper solving series. Today in part 2, we will be covering question number 31 to question number 60. So let's begin. Question number 31 says, for a building layout permission, a proposal is received by the authority from the owner after compliance of the objections raised by the authority. Which of the following statement correctly applies regarding the scrutiny fee? So let us try to understand this question first. Some proposal was given to the authority and revisions were given by that authority. Some objections were raised by the authority. And now the proposal is now getting submitted again after compliance of the objection. The meaning of compliance is adhering to the rules, regulations, etc. Okay. So here they are submitting it again to the authority. Now the question says what kind of scrutiny fees will be applied. This question, this answer you will be getting in UDCPR under point 2.2.12, which talks about building layout permission scrutiny fee. This. Under this particular table, you will find the type of authority, the scrutiny fee for plotted layout, and the scrutiny fee for building constructions. And the various details are given under point 1, 2, 3. Here, under note point 1, you will find that no scrutiny fee shall be levied if the proposal is received after compliance of the objections raised by the authority. So once everything is correct, no scrutiny fee will be levied. So here the answer for us is option number 4, which says no scrutiny fee shall be levied again for such proposals. Moving on to question number 32. On a plot of 300 square meter area from the sanctioned layout, you want to construct a residential building of ground plus 2-story of 450 square meter total built up area with including ancillary area FSI. Under UDCPR, such a building falls under which category? And we are talking about risk. So low, moderate, high, or none of the above. Again, you will have to refer to the document of UDCPR to get this answer. Under Appendix K, we talk about the risk categories. Okay, so let's read point 1. With respect to plot area, it says that building on a plot area up to 150 square meter comes under low risk, and plot area between 150 square meter to 300 square meter comes under moderate risk category. So for us, the plot area is 300 square meter, which gives us the answer as option number 2, moderate risk. Next one, question 33. The criteria for applicability of inclusive housing for municipal corporation is dependent upon what? Again, you will get this answer in UDCPR under point 3.8, provision for inclusive housing. In that, under point 1, you will see the regulation shall be applicable only to the municipal corporation having a population of 10 lakh or more as per the latest census mentioned in regulation number 3.8.2. Let's look into the options. The slope of the plot? No. The proposed built-up area under the development permission? No. Population as per the latest census? Yes. And both 1 and 2, again, this is also wrong. So the answer for us for question number 33 is option number 3, population as per latest census. Another takeaway from this particular question is you can remember the population size for municipal corporation having a population of 10 lakh or above. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Question number 34. In public semi-public zone, the following user shall be permissible. Home for aged, hospitals, sanatoria, dispensary, healthcare, residential use up to 25%, commercial use up to 25%, or all the users mentioned in 1, 2, 3. So we know the various land uses. There is residential, industrial, public, semi-public, commercial, and there are some activities of the other land use zone which can be permissible into the other land use. For example, here we are talking about what kind of other activities will be allowed in public semi-public zone. Okay, so for this you will have to look into the UDCPR document again under regulation 4.10, where it talks about public and semi-public zones. Okay, here you have various points. Under point 2 you will be able to find home for the aged, hospitals, sanatoria and dispensaries and health centers. Okay, so along with that you can have maternity homes as well. You can have other health related facilities and ancillary structures like quarters, dharamshalas, veterinary hospitals, etc. So option number 1 is correct for us. Let us read further into this document. Under point number 6, we find the commercial use allowed. So it says that it is 15% which shall be allowed under public semi-public. In our option it is given 25. So had it been 15, it would have been true. Okay, so here it is wrong. This is correct. And residential use up to 25%. If you read further into the points, you will find no mention of residential use in public semi-public. So this is wrong again. Ultimately 1 to 3 also becomes wrong. So the correct answer for us is option number 1. Okay, let's move ahead. Question number 35. The lands in the industrial zone in development plan, regional plan may be utilized for any of the permissible uses in the residential and commercial zone, subject to the provision that in the layout or subdivision of such land. What are we talking about here? Let's look into the document. Allowing residential, commercial in industrial land use. Okay, under point number 5 you will find the necessary details. In case of land at measuring more than 2 hectares, such amenity space shall be 10% up to 2 hectares. Okay, so for any land at measuring more than 2 hectares, in such a case, space shall be 10%. Space for amenities shall be 10%. This has an upper limit up to 2 hectares. Okay, and 15% for the area over and above 2 hectares. Okay, so here let's look at the options. We have option number 1. 10% of the land shall be provided for public utilities and amenities. This is wrong. 10% of the land shall be provided for public utilities and amenities up to 2 hectares. Yes. Area and 15% of the area over and above 2 hectares. So this is the correct answer. Option number 2 is correct for us. Okay, now this is regarding the FSI. Let's read the question. Which of the following statement is correct in case of floor space index in non-congested areas for residential and residential with mixed users, etc. Let's read the options. FSI on account of both payment of premium and maximum permissible TDR loading increases according to the increase in road width over which the plot abuts. Okay, so we are talking about both premium and maximum permissible TDR. On account of payment of permissible increases according to increase in road width over which the plot abuts, or is it the maximum permissible TDR? So in the first one, we are talking about the payment of premium as well as maximum TDR that we can load in that particular area. In the second one, we are only talking about payment of premium, and in the third one, we are only talking about maximum permissible TDR loading. Okay, the correct answer for us is 3. When it comes to FSI in non-congested areas for residential and mixed use, there is no scope of payment of premium. Hence, only option number 3 is correct. Okay, moving on to the next one. For redevelopment of tenanted buildings having aged more than 30 years, the permissible FSI shall be what? So let's look into regulation 7.6.2 that talks about redevelopment of tenanted buildings. Under the first point, you will get the answer which says FSI allowed for redevelopment building having protected tenants under the relevant provision of law shall be FSI permissible under regulation 6.1 or 6.3, or the FSI consumed by the existing authorized building including TDR, permissible FSI, etc., whichever is more. Okay. Then we are talking about such TDR, premium FSI, etc., utilized in the existing building shall be treated as basic FSI for redevelopment. So TDR, premium FSI, etc., utilized in existing building shall be treated as basic FSI for redevelopment. In addition to this, 50% incentive FSI of rehab area required for rehabilitation of tenants shall be allowed. An additional point that you can note in this is provided that rehab area shall be authorizedly utilized area or 27.87 square meter carpet area per tenement. Okay, let's look at the options then. The first one talks about permissible FSI potential under 6.1, 6.3, basic FSI plus premium FSI plus permissible TDR loading. We know this is wrong. The second one, FSI consumed by existing authorized building including TDR, premium FSI. Again, this is wrong. First of all, we are not talking about incentive here. Okay. Third, FSI consumed by existing authorized building including TDR, premium FSI, etc. plus 50% incentive of rehab area. Again, this is wrong. The correct one is 4. Permissible FSI potential under 6.1 or 6.3. Basic FSI plus premium FSI plus permissible TDR loading or the FSI consumed by the existing authority building including TDR, premium FSI, etc. Okay. So the provision talks about all of this. Plus, in addition to this, we have 50% incentive FSI of the rehab area required for rehabilitation of tenants which shall be allowed. So option number 4 is correct for question number 37. Okay, moving on. For development of housing for EWS LIG, the following condition has to be followed. So here we are talking about built up area. Okay, again this answer you will get in document of UDCPR. Let's look into that. Under provision 7.7, we are talking about development of housing of EWS and LIG. In that, point number 1 talks about residential zone. So the first thing to note over here is EWS and LIG category, we are talking about 50 square meter. Okay. So this 50 square meter we have to remember first of all. Second, out of the total tenements, at least 40% tenements shall be of built up area not more than 30 square meter. So this is what we need for the answer. And you can go through the additional points mentioned in this as well. That will be very helpful for you. For this question, let's look at the options. Total tenements of size 30, we know this is wrong. We have just seen that it is 50. Total tenements of size up to 50 square meter built up area have to be constructed. Okay, this looks correct. Let's look into the other options as well. Total tenements of size up to 50 square meter built up area have to be constructed, and out of that 40% tenements shall be of built up area not more than 30 square meters. So this is the correct answer for us. This becomes wrong. Option 3 is correct as per the document we just saw. Okay, moving on. Question number 39. As per UDCPR, for development of information technology establishments, additional FSI above 100% and up to 200% shall be permissible on plots having an access road of minimum width of what? So till now we've seen questions have come from sections. Questions have come up in detail with respect to any one particular section under MRTP Act or under UDCPR. Now we have a detail of the depth in such a depth that we are talking about the road width. So by this it is very clear that you have to go into as much details as possible with respect to all these acts and policies and documents. Okay, let's read into what is given in UDCPR. Under regulation 7.8, we are talking about development of information technology establishment, which is to do with the question. Under this, if we look at 7.8.1 and point number 1 under that, we'll be able to find that provided the additional FSI above 100% and up to 200%, exactly what the question asks, shall be permissible only on plots having an access road of minimum 18-meter width. So the answer for us is option number 4, 18 meter. Okay, moving on. In affordable scheme, the FSI to be utilized shall be in proportion of what? Again, let's look into the document of UDCPR to understand this. Under 14.3, which talks about affordable housing scheme, we will get point E talking about this particular question. This says the FSI to be utilized shall be in the proportion of 1:3 for the affordable housing component and the free sale housing component on 1/4 and 3/4 part of the land respectively. So let's see what the options talk about. First of all, we are saying 1:3 is the ratio. So let's check. 1:3, okay, can be correct. 1:4 wrong, 1:3 correct, 1:4 wrong. So we've narrowed it down to option number 1 and option number 3. Let's read further into this. First one says 1:3 for the affordable housing component, okay, correct, and the free sale housing component on 1/3 or 2/3. It's wrong. Okay? Because of this particular answer is wrong. So the answer has to be option number 3. Let's read it properly. 1:3 for the affordable housing component, correct, and free sale housing component 1/4 and 3/4 part. So we know for sure option number 3 is correct in this case. Okay. You can for any questions which are confusing in nature, you can follow this step. You can first out of the 4, you can narrow down it to 2 or 3 options and then you can move further into the question. Okay, moving on to question number 41. As per UDCPR, in a regional plan, what is the minimum contiguous land required at a place to be declared as integrated township project in the afforestation zone? Again, a very direct question that has come from UDCPR. Let's look at the document. Integrated township projects for regional plan area. So let us go into the requirement of site, which is talked about in 14.1.1.2. It says any area having 40 hectares, which is also equals to 100 acres or more at one place. So the answer for us is option number 3, 40 hectares. Okay, coming to question number 42, the time period of filing any appeal under section 124G of the MRTP Act 1966 from receipt of assessment notice under subsection 2 of section 124E. Okay, again a very direct question. You have to not only know what sections talk about which provision, but you also need to go into the details of that to understand and to answer the type of questions that can come from them. Okay, let's read the options. Option number 1, 40 days, 260 days, 30 days or 45 days. The correct answer for us is 45 days. Okay. The next one, what should be the rate of development charge of land developed for hospital use without constructing operation? Okay, so this is again being taken from the MRTP Act and the answer is 0.5% of ASR rate of developed land. Okay, the next one again a very direct question. The section has also been mentioned and the act has also been mentioned. So as per the section 124I of the Maharashtra Regional and Town Planning Act 1966, interest rate on the amount of enhanced assessment, interest rate on the amount of enhanced assessment or of refund shall be what? If you look into this particular document, you will find the correct answer is option number 1, that is 18% per annum. Okay, question number 45. As per section 124F of the Maharashtra Regional and Town Planning Act 1966, the following department subject to the condition is partially exempted from the payment of development charge. The options are warehouse, godown, educational, medical and charitable institutions, or all of the above? The correct answer over here is all of the above. For all of them, this exemption is there. Continuing with question number 46. If a development permission is refused by the planning authority under section 45 of the MRTP Act 1966, then an aggrieved applicant may file an appeal to the state government within how many days? This particular answer you will find under section 47, which is with respect to section 45 here, and the answer is option number 3, 40 days. Okay, moving on to the next one. Traffic or transportation studies, which are also called as surveys. Any kind of surveys are usually conducted to collect some form of data. So these are mainly required to be conducted to first collect data of building fronting on road. So just by looking at the question, we know that it has something to do with traffic or transportation. So this building fronting on road would be wrong in that particular case. The second one, collect data of layouts fronting on road. Again, this is wrong. Determine the type of traffic which is being accommodated by the road. Yes. And collect data of animals which come across the road. Again, wrong. So the correct answer for us is option number 3. Next one, the number of vehicles moving in a specified direction on a given roadway or lane that pass a given point or cross section during a specified unit time is called as what? Traffic volume, traffic density, highway capacity, or basic capacity. So to answer this, let us first understand the difference between traffic volume, traffic density and capacity. So to begin with, let's just understand the difference between volume and density first. Then we'll move on to capacity. Okay. In both these cases, we are counting the number of vehicles. Okay. If in both the cases we are just counting the number of vehicle, what is the difference? Let us try and understand. Let's say this road is what we are trying to study. Okay. The same road we are trying to study in a density also. We are counting the number of vehicles but over a given time. So what are we doing is we are fixing a point. We are standing here, let's say for 1 hour. Okay, and we are counting the number of vehicles that are passing this particular point. So what have we done? We have fixed a point and we are counting the number of vehicles over a period of time. So this particular survey can be conducted for, let's say, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. But whenever we answer it, it is usually in a given unit time, that is hour. Okay. So we are fixing this point and over a period of time, we are counting the number of vehicles. For example, one vehicle passed this particular point, we've written 1. Then another vehicle does, let's say 3 seconds later, 2. Let's say a few seconds later, another vehicle is passing this particular point, 3, and so on. We will continue with this survey for whatever time period that we have decided, and we will answer in terms of per unit time, that is per hour. For example, 120 vehicles per hour, or let's say 50 vehicles per hour. Okay, this is one way to count vehicles. What is another way? Let's say this is the road that we are talking about. Instead of fixing the point or the place, we are now fixing the time. For example, currently at 12:01 p.m. this is the time that we have fixed. Now, at this particular time, in that very second, how many vehicles are there? Let's say on a stretch of 1 kilometer. Okay, so what have we done? We have fixed the time, but we are counting the number of vehicles for a given stretch of road, which is usually in terms of kilometer. So we are not fixing the distance, but we are fixing the time. Here we are not fixing the time, but we are fixing the point. Okay, that is the only difference. Now let's say in this 1 kilometer scenario 1, we are finding it to be in a bumper to bumper scenario where we have a lot of vehicles on that particular road at that particular time. So maybe we can say that the density for that bumper to bumper condition or for a jamming condition is, for example, 180 vehicles per kilometer, for example. Okay, or in scenario 2 we are finding that okay, it is not a peak time and we have vehicles with a safe distance on that particular road, and for example we find it out to be, let's say, 30 or 40 vehicles per kilometer. This is our density. When we talk in terms of distance or stretch of the land, it is density. Whenever we are talking in terms of per unit time, that is volume. Okay. Now the next thing, what is capacity? Capacity is also vehicle per hour. Now then, what is the difference between volume and capacity? So any route that is designed is usually for a capacity, a pre-decided capacity, as in on this particular road, these are the number of vehicles that can cross a particular point over a period of time, and that is the best scenario for that particular road. So whenever a road is designed, it is always keeping in mind the capacity of the road, okay, which is what? The maximum number of vehicles, maximum number of vehicles that can pass a point over a given period of time. Okay. And if it goes beyond this maximum number of vehicles, of course, it is going to cause jamming condition and there will be bumper to bumper scenario occurring in that particular case. Then what is volume? Again, we are talking about vehicle per hour, but in that particular situation, whatever time period that we are conducting this survey for, it is for that particular scenario. We are not talking about the best scenario, the minimum scenario or the maximum scenario. This is for any given point for any given period of time. Okay, and the maximum volume or the maximum number of vehicles for that particular road for which it is designed is your traffic capacity. Okay, now coming back to the question, it says, first of all, we are talking about a given point. Okay, this gives us a hint that it could be traffic volume. Why? Because we are talking about a point and not a stretch. The next keyword here is during a specified unit time. So of course we are talking about vehicle per hour. Okay? So it has to be the traffic volume. Why not traffic density? Because we are not saying vehicle per kilometer. This is specified unit time, so it cannot be traffic density. And capacity mein we are talking about the maximum number of vehicles that can be accommodated on that particular road. So again, it cannot be any form of capacity, be it highway capacity or basic capacity. Okay, moving on. Question number 49. In case of what the vehicles are allowed to be parked on the curb. So on-street parking or off-street parking, then we have reserved parking and controlled parking. Let's try to understand first what each of these mean. So let's say this is a road that we are talking about, okay, and this is, let's say, the lanes. So on-street parking mein, you have the vehicles parked like this in, let's say, parallel manner or in a perpendicular manner. Usually in India, in the commercial areas, you usually find vehicles being parked on the road. Okay, so this is nothing but on street parking. Now, what can be off street parking? For example, you have multi-level parking areas. You can have garages for that, or you can have a parking in the basement, or you can have a parking on the ground floor, whatever. It needs to be not on the street. So street parking. Now what is reserved parking? Let's say on a particular road, this particular parking lot has been reserved for shop number 36, for example. Okay, that is a reserved parking. Let's say we are talking about some kind of a township. In that township, let's say on the ground floor, there are certain parking lots. Okay, each of this lot can be reserved for a particular house number. For example, house number 101, 102, 103, etc. This is also a form of reserved parking. Or in any corporate office, you can have some area that is reserved for a particular office and so on. Okay, that is reserved parking. And your controlled parking is any kind of a parking that is either controlled by machinery or any kind of e-surveillance, or controlled by a group of people or authority or any person. So when it comes to parking on the curb, it has something to do with the road and nothing to do with either controlling it or reserving it. So either on-street parking or off-street parking. If we are talking about curb, then definitely it needs to be on-street parking. Okay, I hope this particular question is clear to all. Moving on to the next one, question number 50. Which study involves the measurement of number of and the type of vehicles crossing a section of a road per unit time at a selected period? Again, we are talking about the same thing. We are talking about the number of vehicles or type of vehicles crossing a section of a road per unit time. So again, the answer has to be traffic volume study. You can see that it is a repeated question in the same question paper. So there are chances of this also happening. Okay, moving to question number 51. The National Green Tribunal recently in September 2022 directed the state of Maharashtra to pay 12,000 crores as environmental compensation for improper management of which of these? Solid and liquid waste, air pollution, green spaces, or coastal areas. So the answer for this is solid and liquid waste. The next one, coastal regulation zone notifications were issued by the state central government with a view to conserve and protect coastal stretches and marine areas as per the power conferred by which of these acts? So, Environment Protection Act, Coastal Regulation Zone Policy, Coastal Regulation Zone Act, or National Environment Policy 2006. The correct answer is option number 1, Environment Protection Act, which came in 1986. Okay. Next one, 53. According to the CRZ notification or the Coastal Regulation Zone notification of 2019, areas are environmentally more critical. So, is it zone 1, 2, 3 or 4? The answer is CRZ zone 1, which is the most critical. As an extra reading, you should also go through what comes in CRZ 1, 2 and 3. These are also divided under A and B. So, for example, CRZ1A, CRZ1B. So, you must go through the details of this as well. Okay. Question number 54. In the then Bombay province, due to the need of providing public facilities such as water, roads, etc., the Bombay Town Planning Act was enacted in which year? So this Bombay province was before independence. So parts of Maharashtra and Gujarat came in this Bombay province, and later on it was divided into two states, namely Maharashtra and Gujarat. So back then, when there was a need of providing public facilities, or this can also be called as civic amenities or also physical infrastructure. So for providing that, the Bombay Town Planning Act was enacted, and it is asking you it was in which year? The correct answer is 1915. Okay. Question number 55. As per section 4.1, you must recollect that we have already looked into section 4.1 in part 1. What did it talk about? Yes, it talked about the regional planning. What is a plan? What is a regional board? What is the constituents of the regional board? What are the duties and what are the responsibilities of the board, etc. And it also talked about the regional plan. So that is like a recollection for you. Now under section 4.1 of the MRTP Act 1966, for the purpose of planning, the development and use of land in the region, the state government shall, by notification in the official gazette, constitute a dash for the region. I hope without even looking at the options, you know that it is Regional Planning Board. We've already talked about this in our part 1. I hope you recollect. So again, you find a repetition in question. Okay, coming to the next one, question number 54. Chapter 15 of Maharashtra Municipal Corporations Act of 1949 provides for what? Drains and drainage, streets, water supply, or building regulation. The answer for us is option number 4, building regulation. This is chapter 15. Okay, this is chapter 12, chapter 13, chapter 14, and finally buildings regulation in chapter number 15. It's been mentioned. Moving on, question number 57. According to section 3.1 of Maharashtra Municipal Corporations Act 1949, specification of larger urban areas and constitution of corporations under this act is in accordance with article what of the Constitution of India? Again, a very direct question asked from the article. The answer is 243 Q1. Okay. Moving on, match the following type of question. This is in view of provisions of the Maharashtra Land Revenue Code of 1966. In one column you have the sections given, the other column you have the provisions given, you have to match it. Okay. So section 148, 156, 161 and 165. If you go through the content of this particular document, you will find that section 148 is with respect to record of rights. Section 156 is with respect to land records. 61 is with respect to the Nistar Patra. And the fourth one, 165, is with respect to Wajib ul Arz. Okay, so the correct answer for you is option number 2. 3, 4, 2, 1 is the sequence for that. Okay, moving on to the last two questions of this part. Section 59 is section 16 of the Environment Protection Act 1986 deals with which of the following? So this particular section deals with offences by companies. So option number 4 is correct for us. The last one for the day. Question number 60. As per section 2.1 of the Maharashtra Stamp Act 1958 includes every document. What includes? Every document by which any right or liability is or purpose to be created, transferred, limited, extended, extinguished or recorded. The answer for this is instrument. So all these documents you have to go through, whichever has been mentioned so far in the question paper. You have to go through all these documents. You have to look into the sections and the provisions that it talks about. You also need to go into the details of these acts or these documents. And it is very important that for all of them, you remember the year as well. Okay. So here we will end part 2 of this question paper series. We'll meet in the next one in which we'll complete the question paper. We'll cover question number 61 to question number 100. Thank you.
KP classes dedicated to excellence.